Welcome everybody, Town Hall 61, and it's great to see some faces from way back when. I'm just going to specifically call him out right now. Sorry, Brendan Byrne, but I have to do it. 2005, he just reminded me that we connected up back in the BC days. So good to see you here today, mate.
Thanks, Scott. I've been sitting in the background watching all the videos and happy to be here for a live one for a change.
Oh, great, mate.
Thanks, Scott.
Well, we'll get a few more under our belt before the year's out. All right, well, today is a good day because we're going to give you a bit of an update on where things are at. I'm going to share my screen, take you through a PowerPoint, which we'll share right now. I have to say thanks to my team. Of course, my amazing team over in our UX, UI department, Carter and Diana, working in the background, doing great things. And this is platformOS updates. Last week, we did some cool stuff with video, and prior to that, we did stuff that Daniel was showing us, which we're going to be embedding into some marketplace sites very soon. Adam Cook, I think, sent his check over to Daniel to buy that module. Smiles all around. Then we've had the site glide prior to that, and all the work going on. We've got the CBO launch of Insights. It's just lots of things happening. So we thought we would do a bit of an update. And Cole, if you want to help me with any muting in the background there, if you're a co-host, I'm not sure if you are, but if you, all right, so I'm going to make you one. And that way,
yeah, you'll need to make me one. Don't have the power.
You muted the wrong person. What do you think?
Adam, you've muted yourself too, mate.
That's because I'm the biggest loudmouth in here and I need to be shut up sometimes. Anyway, all right. So we're going to go through a bit of an update on what's been going on, and we'll kick it off with the agenda for today. And that is that we're going to go over development, some of the things from an engineering whip perspective. You will notice that release notes now has a bit of an update regularly on every release cycle that we do. But we'll drill into some of that. We've got Derek in the room who's staying up late again. I think he doesn't sleep, but the awesome things that he's been doing in the background with DNS, SSL, and building a microservice, which will work across infrastructure services. So whether it's AWS or Azure or Google hosting, you know that the vision for platformOS is to be infrastructure agnostic. And DNS and SSL is the bane of all of our lives, always has been, and not always will be, because Derek solved it. Solved it from a scaling perspective, solved it from a simplicity perspective as well, but also taking into account the modern web around load balancers requirements. And we've got a solution too for those really poorly kept up-to-date DNS providers who who only support IP addresses for A names or A records. So we've got a solution around that as well. And documentation, all the recent updates that we've been doing, our award nominations for the Dev Portal Awards, and then the onboarding enhancements that we've been making. Diana and Carter are working through that. And we have got some 3 tracks for instant gratification for new channel partners and developers signing up. We want to make sure that everyone sort of comes in at the level that they're needing to start at, and then help them graduate through and move down the stack or if they want to. So that's happening. The partner portal redesign is also kicked off, and Colin will give us a little update, quick update on channel partner growth, which is exciting as well. So development. Wonder if, is Maciek in the room? Did he sneak in? He did. Maciek, do you want to take this one over, or do you want me to talk it through? Notice you just joined.
Go ahead.
You want me to do that? Okay.
Let's do the show.
It is late. You can just please jump in, Maciek, when you need to. The engineering work in progress. So we have our release notes up to date on the documentation site. So what you'll find is that rather than having to wonder what's been going on, you will see what's going on. And you'll see that we've backdated that a little bit, but all the major releases as they come out will be documented. So we'll talk about the new, improved, bug fixes, highlight some documentation specifically and examples, and where appropriate, we'll give you links to GitHub repos where you can grab code and start to play with yourself. So we have taken notice that communication on what's happening with the releases hasn't been as consistent, but we are changing that. So with every release, we will be letting you know what's happening. That is aside from the Monday emails that go out, where you should see a lot of the updates from the documentation and the UX stuff. But anytime you need to, just come on over to release notes in the documentation site and you'll find out what's going on. As well as that, there's some really exciting things happening on the CLI, POS CLI tool, as far as consolidation of error messages and feedback messages that come through. That is going to also help you and your developers get meaningful information, which will also have links to the documentation. So we figure that anybody using the POS CLI tool knows about platformOS, and that way, as far as the links to our documentation is concerned, that'll come through back in any error notifications that you get. So that's exciting. What else? We have, where are we? We have something else that I was going to talk about with the engineering whip. What was it again? DNS SSL API. It is brilliant. Derek, I am going to hand this one over to you. And as you're getting ready for it, I'm going to stop my share. I'll just give the preamble while I look at a couple of... oh, Luke can't wait for the domains and SSL update either.
Yes, so
over to you, mate.
Yeah, so let me share my screen, and I will maybe go through directly to quick demo. Yeah, I will show you what I'm working now. I've been working now for 2 weeks, last 2 weeks, and yeah, we revisited DNS SSL, this part of portal, and it was yeah, actually it was working, but it was pretty painful. Yes, because we implemented the whole process, and the whole process of issuing, yeah, making domain working, yeah, is quite complex, and there's a lot of different yeah, ways of, for instance, validating SSL certificate and then uploading, and yeah, you can see now here, and previous implementation was covering all this, and we were somehow making us maybe okay forcing us to learn about everything and how it works. Now it will be a bit different, and we figure out a few improvements. So currently, now in the future, there will be yeah, there will be more than 2, but now there are 2 tracks. There is one track for existing domains and one for new domains. When you've got a new domain, you can set up everything on platformOS, and this will require only one action from you. There will be, yeah, adding domain name. You could register a new domain from AWS, and that's all. We will set up everything for you, and actually that's all. And oops, no, and for existing sites and for those clients who do not want to go to platformOS with their domain, and there's also a solution. There's a few steps. Let me show you platformOS demo. I will register this domain. And now we have to wait a while because in the background there's magic and there's requesting SSL certificate. You won't know from this point about something like SSL certificate. It's not needed for you to know about this. You actually want just secure connection and know.
So by that, what Derek is meaning is that you or your clients don't need to concern yourself with mucking around with requesting the certificate or anything, because his microservice is doing everything. It's getting the request, it's creating the relevant DNS validation keys, putting that in there, validating the SSL certificate, deploying it onto a load balancer, and making all that happen as you've just seen. That's why it's taking a few extra steps.
Yeah, this step is called just ownership, domain ownership verification. You have to prove that you've got rights to this domain you want to install on platformOS, and that's the one of way proving this. You just have to go to your domain provider and add two records, CNAME records. Yeah, that's maybe this is kind of difficult for some of us, but it's required. We cannot just skip this. There will be also another validation soon by email, but this will be a custom. So
in this scenario, just to highlight again, this is if somebody has their DNS managed externally. Because the first option where, okay, I'm using your name server, I'm using your service completely, platformOS. So, and you can do all this via our API as well. So I'm going to let platformOS manage all of this. You don't have to worry about the verification step. It's only if your client insists on having their DNS managed somewhere else that this verification pending is required. Is that correct, Derek?
Correct.
Good.
So yeah, I've added those records in the background, so I just have to confirm that this part is ready, and after a while, it's about half a minute.
And just on a question Shane's just asked, what about the A records? Just clarify that one, Shane. If that's relating to old DNS services that don't allow for load balancers or fully qualified domain names in the A record, we have a solution coming for that as well. We'll be doing IP proxying, where we'll have an IP address allocated for each region, and that would then propagate it, or that would look after those really, let's call them crappy DNS services that aren't up to date with modern load balancing standards, because IP addresses are running out. And that's why fully qualified domain names and load balancers are taking over. Route 53 supports that. DNS Made Easy supports that. A whole bunch of other really good DNS service providers provide it. But Net Solutions, I think, doesn't. GoDaddy doesn't, and a few others. So that'll be sorted. And then the question, and Google doesn't either. Unless, interestingly enough, unless you're using Google service, then somehow they do behind the scenes, because they do have load balancers. Buy or transfer the domain directly. That is something coming as well, I believe. That's what Maciek was alluding to. Buying would be the next phase. And that's where you could buy and register your own domain straight through the interface. Is that correct, Derek? Or did Maciek just create a feature on the fly?
Yeah, correct. So yeah, that's, and actually, yeah, that's all. That's domain is ready. There in the background, there's, if you remember, there was step validating SSL certificate, and you have to upload this certificate to selected load balancer, and it's all in background. It's all set up, and that's your private CNAME record. This is an alias to real load balancer. So, and below we will provide you with some help how to set up in particular DNS providers. So yeah, mostly that's it.
And so this is for the most complicated scenario, what Derek has just shown you here. This is where you're using an external service. AWS Route 53 may be your own Route 53 service, which is why we've included it there. The first option, which is click a button, type the domain, everything is Automagic if you're using our service. That includes automatic allocation of SPF and DKIM records to ensure that SendGrid and Twilio and all those other services are added as safe and respected senders. There's a whole bunch of things we do. Now, this demonstration here is a UI over the top of Derek's microservice. So I'll let him speak to that.
There's a lot of automation in the background. Yeah, so yeah, thanks.
Brilliant. Awesome. I love it because I know what a pain DNS is, and having set up the whole we used simple DNS back in BC days, and we had to do all sorts of cool magic in the background. And remember, we had world secure systems. Well, we've done something kind of similar as well, so that auto secure DNS is an innocuous domain name for just the staging for the domain that you need to initially start to work with. So that doesn't mention platformOS there. Other things that we're also looking at doing, and this will be coming along, we are going to be looking at how your production DNS can be allocated against CloudFront. And that's another exciting eventuation. Now, Shane's asked the question, what is the process for an external managed domain that can handle a URL for the A record? Oh, that's easy. You just put that CNAME, that fully qualified domain name that was on the screen, that gets put in to the A name alias in Route 53. Route 53 can handle non-IP address A records. So if you're using Route 53, awesome. There's a very straightforward way that it handles using a fully qualified domain name instead of an IP address. So or you can use ours. So if you're using an external DNS, you'll press the button, I'm using external DNS, put in the details, what is the domain? It goes off, creates the relevant records, SSL certificates, verification records, and then you'll take the verification records, you'll plug them in as CNAMEs in Route 53 or whatever other DNS service you're using. And then the fully qualified domain name for the load balancer, you'll take that and you'll put that in as a CNAME for your www record. If you want to use an A record as well, then you can use the A record alias in Route 53 to point to us. Those that are using our service with the one click, all they need to do is have their name servers pointed to platformOS, and everything is then fully automated and magical. So Machek's just noting, we ask for the domain, confirm you're the owner, and then we display the information that you need to point your domain. And as far as managing all the records, you can already do that. That's already been part of the solution. And so yes, you can. In fact, if you like, we can just quickly go into Partner Portal. I'll just do that now and bring up my instance, platformOS, platformOS. Oh, it would help if I spelt right. And there it is. Just go in here, domains. I'm going to share my screen in just a second. Add new domain. Edit. Oops. Details. All right, I'm going to share my screen, Shane. This has been around a while. Managing domain records, do it all through Partner Portal. So I've chosen my domain, which is the documentation site, hosted file, and I can create a hosted zone, and then I've got full management of the files related to it, text files, SRV files, MX records, everything. So you can totally do that already through the Partner Portal. All good with there. Any questions for Derek while he's here before he goes and has a well-earned beer and rest? I think the feedback's unanimous. Everyone's very excited about that. And just so...
You could always find me on Slack, so...
And by always, he means
I'm happy
always.
to happy to help.
Thanks, mate. That's brilliant. And all managed through a microservice that Derek has built. So all the rules and templates and different things, as we add new functionality and features, that service will be exposing the relevant API methods for partners to access. It will only be available for channel partners, verified users. It won't be open to the public, but at least for those of you who have been asking for it, Luke, Shane, Adam, everybody else, that's going to be all good now. A little less manual. Yes, good to see what goes on behind the scenes when SiteGuide takes my sites live. That's right. The complication really from our perspective is around load balancing and the fact that, unlike BC just had 3 IP addresses, I think, something like that. And so we decided we weren't going to go in that direction with platformOS. We were going to stick with best practice, latest, greatest load balancer technology. And that added another level of complication. Not to mention the fact that BC also didn't let you have vanity HTTPS. You had to use world secure systems. Now you get it all with the click of the button. HTTPS only, certificates deployed, managed, and load balanced. Alrighty. Next, cab off the rank. All right. Share my screen again. Thanks again, Derek. I know you put a lot of effort into it. Derek mentioned 2 weeks. He's actually been working on stuff like this behind the scenes for a lot longer. All of the learnings and understanding all the mechanics behind the scenes, using external DNS versus Route 53, all of that has taken actually a lot longer. 2 weeks in him sitting down and building the service. Months of planning. All right. Got some chats coming through here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So vanity URLs for assets. That's what I was just talking about when it relates to the CDN and pointing vanity URLs to the CDN, which map to an S3 bucket. All that sort of stuff is what we're working on as well. Again, stuff like that is easy if you don't want all the other stuff with the load balancing and enterprise grade stuff. You could just spin up basic server stacks and have all of that done. But there's a little more complication with the way we build our infrastructure, and for good reason. The other stuff to think about too is the way things are going with progressive web apps and what's that thing, service workers, and all of the ways that that has to happen and be secured. So there's no cross-site linking, or what is it? Cross-site injection, or what's that thing where you hijack somebody through an API call and you're using a domain name with an SSL certificate? Machek will answer it later. Cause, yeah, that's it, cause. Cross-site query request forgery. That's right, that's the one. Thanks, Hugo. So we have to make sure that we comply and are doing a good job around all of those things. Back to the presentation, which is over here. Going in the wrong direction. Documentation. As you've seen, documentation has been consistently updated. And I will just check in. Is Diana in the room? Am I stealing her thunder right now? Let's just make sure I'm not. I don't want to. No, she's not. All right, I'm going to speak on her behalf. Diana, as you know, is Director of Documentation, doing an incredible job. The new sections that are coming up now in our documentation, little new flags that you'll see on different parts of the docs will be there. I think they stick around for a week. So we're trying to highlight areas that are new, that have been up or updated, so that you can go in. Remember, please feel free to be a contributor. You can contribute to all of the documentation. And there's a contributor guide over here. So you can just jump into GitHub and start doing what you want to. And if we accept the changes, great, you're going to get some attribution for that content. But documentation is powering ahead. We've actually been nominated in the Dev Portal Awards alongside names such as Deutsche Bank and ABN AMRO and Barclays. I think there's some other dev shops in here. Postman, look at that. Postman's in here. Shutterstock Developer Portal, Nexmo. These are all, TomTom. Wow, there's some big names in here. All really cool dev portals, but I would have to say that platformOS Developer Portal is the best. So we'd love it if you went over and checked it out, devportalawards.org, and then voted. Go ahead and put in your email address, or 5 of them. You might have, no, I didn't say that. To 12, answer the question and accept that. I'd like to vote. You'll get a link. You'll click on the link, then you'll come back and you'll click on platformOS Dev Portal, please. That would be lovely. Mean a lot to the whole team. But yeah, documentation is firing ahead. We're really happy how this is coming together so incredibly professionally. All the API references are getting updated as we're adding new functionality. So where it's been in the past, we've lagged a little bit in providing resources relating to new functionality. Now it's kind of in step with the development. As things are added, we're making sure that you know about them. And in line with that, we're also doing some, there's the Dev Portal Awards, so please vote for platformOS. We're also adding, and I think I just saw putting the voting link in chat, please. Oh yeah, great idea. Thanks for that. I might just go back to the Dev Portal Awards. Cole, could you go and check out the link? Oh, it's right here. What am I talking about? Sorry, it is right here. Let me click on it. Sorry, Mark. And Luke, before you go, could you just vote again? You know how to set up a domain now really easily. You just go in, put in a domain name, click, it's validated, you get SSL, you get an MX record, you get Google hosting. You can have 10 email addresses registered in the next 15 minutes. All right, so there's the Dev Portal Awards contact voting form link. And please go ahead and do that for us. It would be brilliant. Now, the onboarding journeys. Carter has been working with channel partners, the internal team, with clients, our enterprise clients, where we've gotten as much feedback as we can and broken down the onboarding journeys into 3. There's Clara, Jennifer, and Alex. So the idea is for the different levels of technical ability and also their business focus. For example, in this scenario, Clara is a business analyst and needs to very quickly validate whether or not platformOS might be appropriate for her agency before she goes and talks to Alex, the team lead in the development area of the business, that this could be a solution. So having instant gratification, one-click demo instances with a blog module, a web form, is what we're doing. And that will include, of course, a page where you can very quickly set up an instance on staging, not production, and then have the blog module live with help text, a video demo, everything needed to be able to manage and leverage that functionality. And then also highlight that there's more flexibility and power in the module marketplace. So there are agencies that might like the idea of a one-click install, get something going very quickly, make a few changes, and then come back to the channel partner network to say, hey, is there any other platformOS channel partners that can help me with this client? So we see that this will have a good feedback loop opportunity for leads to feedback, as we're starting to see already, actually, between some of the larger agencies we're working with now, that we're connecting with other teams that are smaller to augment their development capabilities. So Clara comes in, instant gratification, where to next or who to next. That is happening. Jennifer, one-click demo instance and GitHub repo and a sandbox. So somebody who is using version control will probably also have a Bitbucket example as well for those who aren't using GitHub. And again, install a demo instance and then deploy the code from GitHub. The same approach around documentation and training, just so that they can feel they can get up to speed fast. Colin, are you talking? Is that because I'm... let's just check. Do a check-in on
No,
everything good. All right.
Yep.
So it just said up on my little Zoom thing. Oh, I'm talking and I'm using your name. So it's because I logged in as you, Cole. So I'm like, why does it keep telling me that Colin's talking? It's because I'm pretending to be you. All right. Back to Jennifer. One click demo instance. Now I want my GitHub code deployed and it just will work. Alex, more on the hardcore development side of things. Build your own blog, get an instance started, and every nuance to that, every model, every schema, every graph query, various approaches to highlight that different front-end frameworks can be used. Of course, we'll be using what we have out of the box, but that will be, again, a more low-level tutorial. So from one-click install instant gratification through to somebody who really wants to get in deep with the platform, those onboarding journeys are come together really nicely. So you'll be able to select your journey from documentation, and each particular stream will have its specific focused set of tutorials. And then there's the one-click demo instance creation. You will also, and for some of you building your own SaaS products, and you'll be able to also leverage the API to do that in a way that will help you have your clients do a deploy. For example, if your agency is going to start to focus on being a competitor to ShareTribe and you're building marketplaces in a specific niche, you might want to have a one-click demo set up. Click, boom, there it is. Awesome. The instant gratification is there. Okay, next step is after 3 weeks of you playing around with that, you can pay for it, you being your end client. So there's ways that you can leverage this for your own demo instances. They'll all be sandboxed, they'll all be in staging, and we will not allow production to be impacted by this. And for those who then want to move to production or become a channel partner, we'll verify that they're an appropriate fit for us. Otherwise, we will refer them directly to channel partners. For example, once we make this live, we might find some end users come across us and want to set up their own sites. And if they're not actually an agency, a developer, and seriously in the internet space, we will encourage them to connect with yourselves. All right. We're also updating the welcome page design for an instance creation. You know, the current one that's there, it's just a bit of text, hello world almost, a little bit more than that. But the idea is we want that instance to have enough detail on it so that the domain name, getting started guide, everything that you'll need to configure that is going to be in the one place. That's been created as a template as well, so that in time we'll make that an option for channel partners to define what they want in their getting started page for a new instance creation. Right now it's pretty straightforward. If you create a new instance, just push your own code to it. So you don't actually need us to do that for you, but it would be nice to have down the track so that the initial creation, it has your template. But for now, as I said, you create the instance, you deploy your own template over the top. Coming soon, joeblowsfood.com.au or whatever it is. So it's not a showstopper. But it's certainly helpful for our channel partners and developers that are starting to sign up on the platform, giving them the right directions on next steps. Partner portal. We've done some research, design, and development around the partner portal. It is going to go through a bit of a revamp. We have a wonderful designer who's joined the team, and she works directly with Carter and Diana. She's coming up with our design system specifically, and every little nuance of what we have. Obviously, we had Yi Ying do our logo design and style guide, and we're taking that now to the next step with our whole design layouts in every little area, so that those on our team developing platformOS specific sites and pages, there's consistency. But we're also going to share the approach that we've used and how we're going about it to let all of this become possibly a template for your own use, for your own brand, or to turn into a blueprint to share with your clients and use for them. So we got a lot of this coming out in the next weekly. So you will see that fall out, and then a new revamp of the partner portal go live. Design system, overage and analytics for site instances. This is another one of my favorites. Between DNS SSL automation, making that a no-brainer as much as possible. Overages and analytics for site instances is my next most important thing, because that's tied to revenues, of course. But also I know everybody else is kind of like, how much are we using? How many database objects? What are the long-running queries? You know, the normal stats. Now, of course, in the scenario of platformOS, you could be running background jobs that spin up a Lambda stack seamlessly. You don't know about it. It's just happening because it's processing lots of images during an import. So there's all of that logic that's being logged as well. So that's coming along. You won't see this yet, but we have metrics, and I'll just bring up platform test, maybe Atom test. There we go. So I've got 34 database objects. I'm logging, we are logging lots and lots and lots of stuff there. And then we're aggregating that on a daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, 6-monthly, and annual basis. And the reason for all those increments of aggregation is just speed on reporting, because you could imagine running a report on data over a period of months and you've got millions and millions of logs. It's not going to be super fast. So we're doing that incrementally and aggregating, so that when you're querying it and when they're all linked to the billing, you'll be able to see that straight away. And then we'll start to analyze as well and see what makes business sense and what doesn't, and be able to tweak some of the plans to go down and other plans go up accordingly. So usage, everybody's made the point, hey, disk space is cheap. It is. But processing slow running queries is expensive. And if objects are on slow disks, which are cheap, but then we've got to process and report on them, and we're spinning up more servers to get the data, which has a high latency and takes too long to pull back off of slow disk. What's the impact on that? So we're going to be analyzing and seeing how we can juggle it to make sure it's the fairest for everybody. We are now coming up to quarter to the hour. So Colin's just going to jump in and talk about channel partner growth, and not just the aspirational, but the actual inspirational stuff, which is happening. So it's inspiring us because we're getting some great signups and we're not even marketing yet. So something's working, word of mouth, or we're not sure yet, but people are just connecting with us, and we haven't even got a decent website, right, Shane? Over to you, Cole.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Yeah, as Adam says, yeah, we're getting some really keen interest from all over the world, from not only agencies, but actually very large dev shops as well. So all corners of the earth, even Minsk and Kazakhstan, obviously Vietnam and India, and of course USA, all the traditional markets, USA, Canada, Europe, UK. One of the things that has happened recently is that we've got a team of partners that have agreed to get together and actually work on the community portal. So that's exciting. There's going to be a team of people bring that together. We'll be building that to a foundational level, and then looking to spin it off in the various directions that we want to go to create the optimum partner community portal and or other community portal that is required. So that's really great. Also, some of these partners, which is exciting to see, using the full power of platformOS, are building out SaaS solutions on the platform. So obviously, we've got the likes of SiteGlide doing this within our ecosystem, but these are SaaS solutions that have totally different focus and different direction. Typical, standard SaaS solutions out there. So it'd be really good to see those come to market in the coming 3 to 6 months. So thanks, Adam. Just a short update from my side.
Great, Cole. Thank you. Well, we can open up to questions at this point. I don't have any more. Actually, I did have another slide. I better share my screen. It's a very important one. There it goes. There it is. Yeah, I forgot to click the next button, and there's Colin's happy smiling face there. I thought it was important to put that on video just so we knew we went to the trouble, Cole. Thanks, everybody. Q&A time. There's another thing here, illustrations by undraw.co, completely free and without attribution. I think Kato or Diana might have put this up here just to share with everybody. So here's a little postscript, undraw.co. That was at the end of the PowerPoint, so I'm letting you know, undraw.co. Meanwhile, questions. Brendan brought up a good point that the Dev Portal Awards email verification went to spam for him in G Suite. You might want to check yours if you've applied to vote and it went somewhere it shouldn't have. But any questions, any thoughts? Silence. That's cool too. We've answered every question.
Adam, I do recall Bob had a question earlier that wasn't answered. I'm just trying to look for it now, actually. Bob Peterson, I think it is. Let's have a look. Can platformOS connect to automatic DNS connection to a DNS provider like hover.com? They have a one-click setup.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at what Hover is. I'll just check it. If they're a DNS provider like DNS Made Easy or others, then we have a one-click part because we have to provision the DNS on our side to tell the instance, hey, this instance is connected to this domain name. Once that's done, then I'm guessing I'll find a domain, transfer, renew. Yeah, we can do all of that. Actually, we're pretty much building Hover inside Partner Portal. I'm just looking at it now. So Hover is I'll share my screen so we can talk at it. Find a domain, transfer, renew, domain pricing. So registering a domain and then I guess making it go live, we can do the same right through using the Route 53 and AWS domain registration service. Any other questions?
Yeah, Shane was asking, will POS still be releasing an ecom template?
We will be at some point. Right now, the focus has been on just the onboarding stuff for channel partners. There is work that continues to go on with we've got the Stripe and the payment gateway integration. There's the blog, and the blog will have a landing page, and we're going to have a sort of mini e-commerce module as part of that, so that those who want to blog with a landing page and be able to take payments, which Tomek demonstrated about 3.5 months ago now, I think, as part of the one-click install. We are using that. But I think in terms of the Magento Killer template, that'll be a work in progress. Some of the clients builds that we're doing now, we're pretty much building eBay for one large client. It's massive, it's huge. It's all on the new stack using latest and greatest best practice. So in the practical side of things, yes, we are, but it's specifically for a large corporate client. But the module will be modularizing that as we go, so that will help accelerate. Would love to see automatic DNS set up for common services like G Suite. That's really cool. So there's templates that we can add, Daryl. It's a really good point. The way that Derek has set up the service, and I'm going to go back to his, there we go, somewhere in here. The way he's set up his microservice will allow for templates to be applied. We are automatically adding SPF and DKIM records specific to the services we've already integrated. So having a template where it could be, hey, G Suite, Office 365, or some other popular records, just click a button, in it goes, because those are things that don't change, I'm guessing. Particularly, I think, G Suite with MX records, I think they're mostly the same. But even if they weren't, if there was a little wizard where it's just cut and paste, now click, rather than having to worry about the intricacies of exact syntax for adding a DNS record, that would be cool. But yes, we're using templates ourselves when we provision DNS. So having the addition for those others, that would be good. Yep. So now that we have the microservice in place and the template engine, that will make it definitely easier. I think Derek's still on the call, and who's making, is that you, Colin, making all that tapping sound? Probably is.
Well, it'd be me,
Luke.
someone else.
Yeah, I think it was Luke. Luke. There we go, I muted him. And I've muted myself, haven't I? Yeah, no, yeah, I did. Yeah, I muted myself again. All right. So now that the microservice is in place for DNS, SSL provisioning, having an extension of that with templates and adding whatever it is. We don't want to hard code anything. We want an engine that allows us to easily connect in other DNS templates. So that's now in place with the microservice. We'll expand on it for sure. We have to get the provisioning right first. And there, as I said, when Derek said, yeah, I just did this in 2 weeks, and all the planning and everything else behind that. So the coding might have only been 2 weeks, but the thinking, digging in, understanding what those flows are, that's taken quite a bit more time. So you're getting all of that intellectual capital that he's been working on actually for years, because we did have DNS provisioning through the first version of Near Me Marketplaces, being able to do that, and it automatically created a load balancer. We did it with a load balancer for every site, and it was seamless, but more expensive. So people that are wanting cheaper plans, well, we have to be creative in the way we use and provision load balancers. We can't have one for every single site. So we can create clusters, and that allows us to then get economies of scale and keep pricing at something that pays the bills. Of course, we're talking for those smaller site builds and clients that don't have the budget, say, that the mid-tier and enterprise have. They just, yeah, give us a load balancer. They don't even think twice about $1,000 plus per month hosting, because they understand the value, and they have a lot more demands and traffic as well. But now that we're wanting to go scale, we've solved that problem too. I'm rambling. I need a question. And that was a good question, by the way, Darryl. Templates. All right, well, if there's no more questions, we will wrap it up. Head back to that. Oh, we got a question. On Hover, go to this site, scroll down, look at use your domain with your favorite service section. I have a lot of domain names for my clients here, and it's very nice to click once in Hoover, and the DNS is automatically set up for the site. No need to answer now, but something to consider. I will go and check that out, Bob. Definitely now that we have a great scalable option in place in-house, we will be able to review the Hover stuff. But on first glance, it looked doable. Everything uses zone records anyway. There's a standardized protocol for all things related to DNS and DNS records. It was more around the creation of SSL certificates and deployment of those in combination with setting up the DNS and the verification of the SSL certificate that was a lot more complicated than just setting up DNS records. The DNS setup is really easy. It's provisioning, allocating SSL certificates around load balancers that becomes a little bit more difficult. So 2019 roadmap features coming out. Let's go off to Where is the roadmap? Let's see where the roadmap's at, actually. Is Maciek on the call still? You might race in and do a quick update to the roadmap. Second half, there we go. So this is so far the roadmap, but there will be updates pending. First half, second half. There'll be a few more little things that we'll add. GraphQL subscriptions is awesome. Elasticsearch views is awesome. Modules, dependencies, built-in GitHub integration. So there's the second half stuff that we're adding with all the little side notes like we've done in this update today with DNS and SSL and what have you. The onboarding stuff, we haven't mentioned that there. These are more technical roadmap. Okay, community site ticketing system. Yeah, Colin's mentioned the community site. That's now getting some collaboration with a few partners that are building community sites. So we're figuring, well, let's just throw in all the IP in one bucket so that we can solve a few different use cases all at once rather than just what we need and what we want. There's a few others that are building for clients that we thought, okay, let's consolidate the learnings around that. So community site is actually active in terms of planning, and the ticketing system. And the Sydney data center. Well, that can happen now that we've got the DNS SSL stuff. So once that is in production, which is imminent, we will then spin up the Sydney, the new stack in Sydney. There's obviously the Sydney data center. We've got a bunch running on it, but it will be the new stack. And that is that. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for voting for us. We'll end on that note, the voting form. Thanks for everybody that did do that. Look into your spam folder. As Brendan pointed out, you may get a spam email verification. Click on it. platformOS Dev Portal would be awesome to vote for. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you on Slack. And this is the platformOS team signing out for now.